Hi, I'm Alicia, and this is my digital story on how I achieved my goal of coming to college in the United States 3 years ago. Humans tend to have goals and dreams. These can change depending on what stage of your life you're in, what you have already achieved, if you want them to be long-term or short-term. But personally, I am proud to say that high school me would be extremely happy to see where I am now because it is everything she ever dreamed of. Let's start from the very beginning. I was born February 13th, 2005 in the Dominican Republic. My hometown is called Santiago de los Caballeros, which is right up north. Some people still consider it a developed city or the second capital. However, it's still detached from the main touristic places. So there's not really a second or third language going around. It's fully just strictly Spanish. At the age of 3, I got enrolled into a very small English immersion school. I was there with my brother, and we had different experiences with this school. It was extremely fun for every kid who went to the school. However, the immersion system just didn't work for me. You could see my brother just fluently speaking English with relatives, peers, my parents, but I was a very different story. I got no English knowledge whatsoever, apart from like a couple words like fruits, vegetables, the Pledge of Allegiance for some reason, and just like modes of transportation, just very basic stuff, but never a conversation like I was used to seeing my brother just being able to carry out. Honestly, I didn't care much about this. I didn't give it much thought until I started to hang out with my cousins who lived in Massachusetts. We would all get together at my aunt's house in Massachusetts, and all the kids would play together. All of them but me, because I didn't speak English. And it started to really annoy me that they could just stick to one language knowing we all spoke Spanish, but they just decided to speak English to accommodate my cousins who lived in the United States. So that was my first instance in which I decided that I was not going to conform to it, and I was just going to refuse to learn English at all. This was also the time where I changed schools. I got enrolled into a fully Dominican schooling system. So although this was a Dominican school, they still had French as a second language, English as a third language. So this is where things got a little confusing for me. I started celebrating festivals for La Francophonie, started really practicing more French, although I don't remember much now. And just this school put a lot of focus into French culture and language. I felt like I had something that I could grab and just keep, and that was only mine. I would still get English classes such as science, language arts, and social studies, but it was really not, it wasn't the same kind of rigor as they put for the French language. And then summer of 2016, I went back to Massachusetts to be with my cousins, and this summer was different. Suddenly, they all wanted to spend time with me. And this brought up a new interest in me to learn English so I could just get their validation even further. I figured that the best way to practice my English was to just blurt out anything I knew. Was it correct? Absolutely not. But this is when my family members and my cousins started making corrections, appropriate corrections on my English, and that definitely helped to reach a certain point where I went back to school the next year, and I felt like those social studies, science, and language art classes were just kind of watered down. And that just happened in one summer, that I just didn't feel like I was alone or the one that was left out because I didn't know X language. When I started the 8th grade, I was changed to a new school. This was a Catholic Dominican school that did not give French at all and divided their English language acquisition system into basic, intermediate, and advanced. They were too lazy to give me a test because I was the only new student that year, so they just put me into intermediate, and I felt like I was excelling in everything I did because I was just getting the highest grade because I knew so much English. But no, they were just putting me under my capabilities without me knowing. I took it as it came. I saw this as an opportunity to just raise that GPA, and I started becoming more academically driven. And with this, I joined a certain activity that changed my entire high school career, which was Model UN. Model UN gave me a purpose. It let me know that I was capable of achieving things that I didn't know. I started using my English more because in this school, Model UN was held in English, and I started falling in love with the idea of building a career in diplomacy. I started looking for summer camps in the United States so I could not only further my language skills, but my Model UN skills, debate skills, and just public speaking in general. But my ambition did not stop there. I now wanted to go to a top school in the United States to further my career in diplomacy. So my thought process was, your English needs to be perfect, your grades need to be perfect, and your writing, reading, every skill you need to succeed in college also need to be perfect. So I asked my parents for months to enroll me into international school. And after trying so hard, they did. Being in international school was a challenge at first. I would get 70s on papers because my grammar was completely incorrect, and I didn't know how to blend sentences, and I didn't know how to use commas correctly, and I used to do all run-on sentences, and it was all those buzzwords that are still in my head because I just felt like they were pulling me back. But if it wasn't for that one decision, I think either I wouldn't be where I am today, or I wouldn't have the capabilities to just do certain work as easily as I can because of this school. And I thank international school not only for allowing me to reach a bilingual level of English acquisition, but also because they gave me all the support I needed for the college admission process and to build my resume up for college and just get prepared for my college life, which was my end goal. And this is where I am today. And now I'm a junior at American University, which was my dream school all throughout high school. I am fully living in English. I am immersed in the language, so my main focus is to keep my Spanish active and alive because my purpose now is to be able to reflect my culture, my language to my future family. I want my kids to be able to speak Spanish and build a relationship with my parents, to be able to travel back to the Dominican Republic and feel connected to their roots. I still travel to the Dominican Republic 2 to 3 times a year myself, and it just keeps me happy to know that I left something to come and reach my dream. However, I will never forget my roots and where I come from.